Workers' compensation. We're all familiar with the system. It's one in which if somebody gets hurt in the course and scope of their employment, they are paid. It's a no-fault system. Doesn't make any difference what happens. As long as you're working, you get paid. And you get paid for your medical expenses, and many times you get a payment for the period of time you're off work that's sometimes referred to as a temporary total disability payment. Okay, but do those payments vary? Well, that takes us to this week's case. It involves two men. Jeremy Lewis lives in Alabama. Josh Potter lives in Georgia. The two men, unfortunately, suffered a devastating injury. Each of the men lost one arm as a result of an industrial accident. But one man is going to receive approximately $50,000 under his state's workers' compensation program. The other man is going to receive, over his lifetime, about $740,000. Why the difference? Why the difference? The difference is very simple. One man lives in Alabama, the other man lives in Georgia. Alabama has some of the lowest workers' compensation payment schedules in the country. Other states are much higher, and that's what happens across the United States. But you may ask, how can this happen? How can this happen? Aren't we a United States? Aren't things supposed to be more or less the same across the country? Wrong. Under our federal system, each state is its separate entity. And workers' compensation is a state-mandated program, meaning that the state decides what gets done. They decide what claims are paid, and the state, in all instances, has a rating chart by which the amount that's paid for a permanent loss of a body member is determined. So, does it vary? Well, you can see it varies quite a bit from one state to another state. In the extreme, with regard to the loss of a body member, we can see what happens in two neighboring states. California, in California, loss of a large toe, permanent loss of a large toe, is rated at approximately $6,000. In Oregon, just across the border, loss of a large toe can be rated as high as $90,000. So, why can this happen? It happens because we have 50 individual states. We are a United States, but there are still 50 individual states, and each of these states gets to decide how they will adjudicate workers' compensation claims. So if you hear of someone somewhere who receives a relatively large amount in one instance and somebody else who receives a relatively small amount, you now understand why this can happen, because each state decides what's it going to do, because each state is its individual entity. Okay, we bring you this case as we bring you cases every week, so you understand how the law works. I'm David Allen.